Coming up on 5 Minute News. Joe Biden capitalises on having the campaign trail to himself. Trump leaves hospital with coronavirus. And Boris Johnson vows low-cost, clean power with UK Build Back Greener drive. It's Tuesday, October 6. I'm Anthony Davis. As President Donald Trump recovers from the coronavirus, Joe Biden is capitalizing on having the campaign trail largely to himself by hitting critical swing states and investing in longtime Republican bastions that he hopes might expand his path to victory. The Democratic presidential nominee made his second trip to Florida in little over 2 weeks on Monday. His visit to Miami was designed to encroach on some of Trump's turf, even swinging through Little Havana, a typically conservative area known for its staunch opposition to the communist government that Fidel Castro installed in Cuba. He'll follow up with a trip later this week to Arizona, which hasn't backed a Democratic presidential candidate since 1996. Biden is completing the expanded campaign travel with a late-stage ad push, reserving more than $6 million in television airtime in Texas for decades deeply red through the end of October. Biden's advisors say they've been confident for months they can expand the electoral map, while never wavering from their promise to have their candidate travel only when local health guidelines allowed for it. Adhering to that plan has allowed them to expand into other parts of the country at the most critical of moments. Speaking yesterday in Little Havana, Biden was careful to continue to wish Trump a speedy recovery, but also criticized his administration's response to the pandemic. "I was glad to see the president speaking and recording videos over the weekend," Biden said. "Now that he's busy tweeting campaign messages, I'd encourage him to do this. Listen to the scientists." Stepping gingerly, President Donald Trump walked out of the military hospital on Monday night, where he'd been receiving an unprecedented level of care for COVID-19, immediately igniting a new controversy by declaring that despite his illness, the nation should not fear the virus that has killed more than 215,000 Americans. Back at the White House, he climbed the South Portico steps, removed his mask and declared, "I feel good," likely feeling the short-term benefit of the steroid injections. Minutes earlier, the president left Walter Reed National Military Medical Center for a waiting SUV that carried him to Marine One for the short helicopter flight back to the White House. Trump's doctor, osteopath Sean Connolly, said the president would not be fully out of the woods for another week, but that Trump had met or exceeded standards for discharge from the hospital. Trump is expected to continue his recovery at the White House, where the reach of the outbreak that has infected the highest levels of the US government is still being uncovered. Still, Trump, who remains contagious, indicated he won't be kept from campaigning for long, tweeting before leaving the hospital, "We'll be back on the campaign trail soon." That message alarmed infectious disease experts and suggested the president's own illness had not caused him to rethink his often cavalier attitude toward the disease, which has also infected the First Lady and several White House aides, including new cases revealed yesterday. Connolly said that because of Trump's unusual level of treatment so early after discovery of his illness, he was in uncharted territory. But the doctor was also upbeat at an afternoon briefing and said the president could resume his normal schedule once there is no evidence of live virus still present. According to the US CDC, those with mild to moderate symptoms of COVID-19 can be contagious for as many and should isolate for at least 10 days. Trump's expected discharge raised new questions about how the administration was going to protect other officials from a disease that remains rampant in the president's body. Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany announced she had tested positive for the virus on Monday morning. There were also lingering questions about potential long-term effects to the president, and even when he first came down with the virus. Connolly repeatedly declined to share results of medical scans of Trump's lungs, saying he was not at liberty to discuss the information because Trump did not waive doctor-patient confidentiality on the subject. Trump's nonchalant tweet about not fearing the virus comes as his own administration has encouraged Americans to be very careful and take precautions to avoid contracting and spreading the disease as cases continue to spike across the country. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson will promise to power every home in the UK with offshore wind energy within a decade, pledging to make the coronavirus pandemic a catalyst for green growth. In a speech to the virtual Conservative Party conference today, he will say the government will invest in a clean energy future to create hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of jobs in the next decade. The Prime Minister said the UK would become the world leader in low-cost clean power generation, cheaper than coal and gas, comparing the UK's resources in offshore wind to Saudi Arabia's oil wealth. The government has come under fire in recent months for failing to set out plans for a green recovery that would put the UK on track to meet its goal of reaching net zero carbon emissions by 2050. Number 10 said the pledge was the first step in a 10-point Build Back Greener plan, which the Prime Minister would set out later in the year, and includes new targets and investment into industries, innovation and infrastructure. You can subscribe to 5 Minute News on YouTube with your preferred podcast app. Ask your smart speaker or enable 5 Minute News as your Amazon Alexa flash briefing skill. Please subscribe, rate and review us at 5minute.news. 5 Minute News is an independent production covering politics, inequality, health and climate, delivering unbiased, verified and truthful world news daily.